Hello, I'm Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels. Today's project is going to be this DAM 235 Spinnfix Special. And I got this out of a lawyer's fishing reel collection after he passed. And we're going to see if we can't clean it up, make it look a little nicer. And I think it's going to go into my collection. So there was a period of time when the DAM reels and the Quick reels were not made by the same company. They were two different companies. And DAM Quick became when they merged together. So this is a DAM reel, and the Quick reels are a different item. I happen to have one of those also that came out of that collection. So what we're going to do is see, let's see if this thing functions. It does. Let's see if the anti-reverse override functions, and it does. And anti-reverse works, the drag works, the bail trips, and but it's just kind of beat up and nasty looking. I'm not going to repaint the body of it, but I am going to repaint the spool, I think, and just to make it look a little better, and see if I can't scrub some of this stuff off of the foot. It looks pretty nasty under there, and let's see what we can do. Let's start off by taking off the drag for the spool. Take that off. And I seem to recall I looked at this the other day and figured out that I can't find any way to take the drag apart on this. It's like they stamped this piece in or pressed it in, and that seals up the drag. You can't get into it without breaking this plastic piece, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to leave that part alone. Okay, we're going to take the handle off. Look at the threads on that thing. As small as this reel is, but look how thick and heavy those threads are. It's pretty big. Okay, let's get to what it's going to take to open this up. And it appears that we have to take these two screws off. I've had this reel for about 6 months, and I've been looking forward to getting to it. Okay, now this screw and this screw are not the same length. Let's set them here side by side. Okay, so the forward screw is longer than the aft screw. Let's bring this, okay, here we go. And so we need to remember that when we put it back together. Okay, all right, that's a sleeve that fits in. Okay, I guess you kind of probably ought to get that fit on there before you get the screws in, or that probably isn't going to go in. Okay, let's take the cover off. And there's the anti-reverse lever. It's spring-loaded. There's a spring right there. One single spring that comes down. It doesn't even make, yeah, it makes one loop around right there and then back in. Okay, so that's override and that's anti-reverse. All right, let's put it into override and move it out of the way. Here is a plastic, that's interesting, a plastic shim washer. We're going to back this out a little bit. There we go. So that come off of here, off the main gear. Okay, let's slide the main gear out and see what we got. Okay, we've got what appears to be two channels. This one here, I've seen this in many gears, and I think it's just a lightning channel. They just put it in there to make the reel lighter. This one, and this one here is the same thing. But this one here, that is for your spool oscillation. Okay, if you look down here, right here, there is a pin in the axle shaft, and that pin is going to ride in that groove right there around. And as that moves around, that's going to move the axle shaft up and down. Oh, okay. Yeah, because that groove, yeah, let's put it in here. Get it to go in the groove. Got to get it in. Let's see, like that's probably going to be the best way. Okay. Oh, yeah. As it rotates around, it moves that axle shaft up and down on that pin. If you take the pin out, there we go. Now you put it on. No oscillation on the axle shaft. Okay? It's kind of nice to know how things work, not just how to take it apart and put it together, but figuring out how they operate sometimes is a lot of fun. Okay, we're going to take that out. There is a shim washer on the top of it. Let's take a look here. That looks to be a 14 millimeter. Let's see, do I have a 14 millimeter on my socket? I think I do. Let's see what we got here. Nope, that ain't the right one. Let's see here. Let's try that one. Nope. There we go. It is a 12 millimeter. Okay. Yeah, and of course, it's 1/4 inch drive. All right. Let's try taking that off again. Okay, off comes the nut. There's a shim washer under it. Okay, now this rotor is keyed to the pinion. Oh, but what do we got here? Okay, that's a balance weight. Oh, that's cool. The balance weight is in here, but it's keyed to the rotor. You definitely don't want to put your balance weight on this side, so it's only one way it can go in. Okay, let's move that out of the way, and let's see what we got here holding this guy in. That screwdriver doesn't fit it well. Let's try a different one. Okay. There we go. All right, there's that screw out. Interesting. Okay, so remember the longer screw that we talked about here that went into here? It actually screws down and helps hold this bushing in place. Hey, like that. Okay, feels a little gritty. So let's see about cleaning that off a little bit. Okay, there's the pinion out, and I'm going to try to clean up this spool a little bit and shoot it with a coat of black paint. The rest of this all actually looks pretty clean, but it'll all be, well, got one thing left we haven't done, and that is take this guy apart. And you guys know that I tend to take these things apart a lot. Okay, it's got a bump stop here. That seems to work okay. But now this is loaded past this post. That's going to be hard to get it to go around that post and get it back on. but we're going to do it anyway. Are we ready to make it happen? I think we are. No, not yet. Let's see about taking this nut off first for the bail. There we go. Take that off. It's got a lock washer. We'll set that over to the side. We'll take this bail off. Doesn't have one of them keeper washers that a lot have. Okay. Here's our roller. It's got some corrosion up underneath it, so we'll definitely want to clean that up under it and inside it. Okay, that's loose. Now we should be able to bring this around and take that off. But it doesn't want to come off, so we'll leave it. I'm not going to pry on it. I don't want to mar up the finish. Okay, so with that off, let's go ahead and undo this screw. Okay, there's the screw. Wow, look at how tiny the actual thread is and then how big the boss is that it rides on. Okay, there's the spring. And here's how it all goes back together. Okay. All right, we're going to rinse this out. And rinse it out. Okay, we're not going to take this piece out in here. If you look, you can see how the spring operates on it. All it is just a spring right there. Loops around. I'm going to see if I can clean some of the crud out of the inside of here. Of course, some of it isn't crud, it's just paint, and apparently this thing had black primer under it. Okay, I'm going to clean up the spool. I'm going to clean up all these things. When I come back, we'll see about putting it all back together. All right, parts are pretty well cleaned up now, and I think we're ready to start reassembling. So we're going to start off by putting this bail back together. And if you look at this, when you put it down here, this spring has got two offshoots on it, one on the bottom that shoots out and one on the top that shoots straight up. And they're going to fit in here like this. The one that shoots out goes up the bottom over like that. Okay, now we've got this guy, and this pin on this one is going to go into this piece. So we got to get it in the hole like so. And now this is when things start to get a little tricky, because we've got to get this piece here past this shoulder over here. So we've got to get it started and get it to start screwing in before it gets there. Okay, so we'll bring it to there. Let's see if we can get it around past this. Okay, move this guy over and out. There we go. That'll allow us to drop this down like that. And now we should be able to get this screw to go back in. We gotta get enough clearance for it to go past the shoulder, past the piece. There we go. And now I'll snug that down. All right, and if we look at it, comes around, there we go. And when this trips, there we go, like so. And let's add some oil here and here. And now we're ready to clean this piece up just a little bit. And I thought that I had it pretty well clean, and I do. It looks good. Okay, but this one here, the roller, is still a little crusty if you look at it. So let's see if I can run a cotton swab through that and maybe clean it up a little bit. Okay, I think that's better. And we're going to put a drop of oil on the shoulder, slide the roller on, and now we're going to come back over here, slide that in, put our locking washer on, and get the nut started back on. Okay, and tighten it down like so. And now, when we trip it, there we go. Back it out. There we go. That should be good. Now I think we're ready to start putting our pinion back together. And our pinion is going to have this shim washer right here. It goes on like this. And then this bushing goes on. Okay, and I've cleaned that out several times. It still feels just a little bit gritty. And maybe it's just because it doesn't have any oil. Put a little in each of those two holes. Let's spin it around a little bit. Okay, it no longer feels gritty. That's fine. Okay. Now we need to set this back in with these holes facing up. The larger hole goes to the front, the smaller hole goes to the rear. And the reason being because the screw that goes in the front is bigger diameter than the screw that goes in the back. Okay, so let's slide this in and get those holes to line up like that. And we can put the front screw back in. There it goes. Didn't want to start. Okay, that feels good. Let's put our rotor back on. Now you're going to need to put your finger against this pinion in the back to keep it from falling down in. And then let's go ahead and slide this rotor back on. Now, we know that this balance weight has got to go on the opposite side from where the trip mechanism is. So let's get that on. Then we're going to put this washer back on. And let's see about tightening down this nut. All right, now let's see if this trips. Perfect. At this point, we're ready to oil the axle shaft and slide it back in. And where's that pin at? There he is. There's our pin. We're going to slide that back in. And it's going to fit into that groove underneath. Can you see the groove underneath? That's what that pin fits into. Right through the axle shaft and down into that. When that's done, slide it up near the crankshaft post. And let's go ahead and get this guy ready. We're going to slide this plastic shim washer back on, and it's going to want to kind of fall off unless we add a little bit of lubricant to it. And let's go ahead and put a little bit on the anti-reverse because that quiets it down a little bit so it's not clack, clack, clacking out there. Okay, now we're going to flip this over and we're going to put grease on all the teeth. And we're going to put grease in this groove right here, only the circle one. There's no need for grease in the rest of that because it's not doing anything. Okay, and we're going to slide this in. We're going to bring the place where the circle is closest to the hole, and we're going to move that to the back and try to get that to line up with that pin. And we might need to move the axle in and out just a little bit to get it to go. And we are in the wrong slot because it's in one of those grooves that does not circle. Okay, so we missed it. Let's try it again. There we go. Let's try that one. There we go. Now we're in the circle. Let's zoom it out. There we go. Okay, it's in the right place. Our anti-reverse, we're going to add some oil to here and here. We've got it in the disengage mode. Our plastic shim is on. That's what rides against here. And we're going to slide this back down. Now before we put the screws in, we want to put this black plastic piece down so it kind of aligns things. And now we can put these two screws in. We need the long one in the front and the short one in the back. Isn't that kind of like the opposite of a mullet? Short in the front, long in the back. Come on, come on, come on. Why aren't you going in? Because you're not lined up, that's why. There we go. Try it again. Oh yeah, now it started. All right. And this guy's a beast of a screw. It ought to be fun to get lined up. There we go. Okay. Brings us down to that spool, which we can't take the drag off of. Okay, it's been repainted. It didn't fully dry yet, but I'm going to go ahead and slap it on here. And there we go. Put the drag knob back on. There we go. Okay. There is... Uh-oh. Okay. All right, there you have the damn 235 Spinnfix Special. Serviced and ready to go. It needs a new line on it, but aside from that, it'd be ready to go out and fish. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. And for now, that's Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.